I'm going to try to be as coherent and as succinct as I can be with this review and get it done before my parents call me down to eat. So, I know that people don't like it when you apologize, and it's like, and I get it, it's your opinion, so who cares what everybody else thinks? It's just your opinion, and your opinion is your opinion. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make the book look bad or anything, or, maybe it will influence other people, but it's not going to impact the book, and it's not a criticism of you, even though sometimes, and this is for me personally, and I don't know if it's for everybody else, it can sometimes feel a little personal, even if it's not a personal attack, because you feel protective, because something you like. It's like, if those people don't, if it's, now, if it's something that, like, in my case, if it's something that I'm just like, oh, I like this, but I'm not, like, obsessively in love with that particular something, then I'm not going to be all sensitive and go crazy on you. I mean, not that I go crazy at all, it's just I can be a little sensitive. But the reason why I am apologizing in this case for this particular review is I am still, I am a smaller channel. I'm still trying to come up, get my foot in the door and get out there. And I don't want you guys to not, if you really like this book that I'm about to review, I don't want you guys to, one second. My door does this weird thing where it, like, opens for a little bit, and it's kind of creepy, because all of a sudden you hear this, like, little creakiness of my door, and I think, like, maybe it's my dogs coming in my room, but then it turns out it's not them. Of course, I do have both my grandfathers did pass away, so maybe they're keeping an eye on me and sneaking into my room and making sure I'm okay. So I don't want you guys, just because if you like this book, I don't want you guys to stop liking me as a reviewer. And, I also don't want to accuse you guys of being too sensitive either, of course. I'm not saying that you're those type of people who are like, oh, how dare you, I'm not going to like you anymore. But, you never know. And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings either. So I guess I really am a nice person. But, anyway, this is a classic, so it does have, in this author, in this book, people half the reading community does really love it, and the other half doesn't, and I'm part of that doesn't love it. And that is Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. Now, this is my first Hemingway, so who knows, maybe if I'll like some of his other books, but I did not like this book, Farewell to Arms. I mean, it wasn't the worst book in the world. It was actually, okay. And I get what Hemingway was trying to, I get the point of his writing style, but it's not, at least in this book, it was not for me. It was just too blunt and too staccato. Now, it's not about squeamishness, because this book is about war, and I had no problem. I mean, I still was like, ew, with certain things, but, I'm not like when the squeamish people like, oh my god, I don't want to hear about this. This is so gross. It's more like it was just too, like, maybe this, it was just too, like, this and this, and then this happened, and this happened. And I've always been told not to do that, and not to be like, this and this happened. And, I mean, it was kind of hard to pay attention to the good aspects of the writing, which were the describing of places in like Italy and stuff where the book is set, and when they go to Switzerland and everything. It was hard to get past with the writing style. But of course, it wasn't just the writing style that bothered me about this book. I will get to that in a minute. But, like, I was actually the war part I was okay with. It's not my favorite type of thing to read about. Like, I like like, I'm not big on the war type stuff, I mean, I'll read books where there's war in it, but I don't want to read a book that's like where the whole book is about the war and everything, like talking about being on the battlefield, because it's just, again, it's not because it grosses me out, it's more, it's not interesting to me. But it was still, and the other thing that bugged, and the one major criticism I have, but this is more personal and preference kind of thing, and that is, first of all, the female lead, and then the romance. It's supposed to be a very romantic book, but oh my god, first of all, this woman, Catherine. Okay, well, let me rewind. Okay, let me first tell you what this Farewell to. For those of you who don't know, Farewell to Arms is a book about this man. I don't know if his name was Frederick Henry, although on Goodreads I ended up saying Frederick Henry, but it might be Henry Frederick. I don't know. If any of you are familiar with, have read the book, please feel free to put in the comments section below if Frederick or Henry's the first name. It drives me crazy when like a person's name is like their first name and their last name is both could be a first name. It annoys me because then I don't know which one is the first name and which one is the last name. It drives me nuts. But anyway, it is about, he is an ambulance driver during World War I, and it is about his experience during World War I, and when he's there, he ends up meeting this English nurse, a British nurse named Charlotte Barclay, and they fall in love, and he ends up getting wounded, so he's on leave, so he gets to spend time with her, and then he gets her pregnant, and it's about the aftermath of that situation, and how he deals with it, and, the whole war and everything, and so that's basically the plot. But anyway, back to the romance. First of all, Catherine Barclay's character, she was so subservient and submissive and an idiot. I mean, she was like, whatever you say, darling, and, oh, whatever you want. Even when he was, like, trying to kiss her and she was telling him no, she was not, like, assertive about it. It's like, you wonder why guys think when you say no, it really means yes. It's women like that. Now, hopefully, there are more women that are assertive and will say no, and the guys will get the message. But even then, sometimes I wonder if guys do get the message. But, of course, I haven't had experience in that situation. So, I don't know. This is just, from what I've seen and stuff. And then it's like, and there's a point when they're together where she's like, oh, I'm gonna cut my hair and you can grow your hair out and we'll look like twins. Like, really? You want to look exactly like, that's weird. That is just weird to me. And it's just her, like, it was always like, she was like, and she was obsessed with, she's like, you don't love me. Do you love me? How much do you really love me? And it's like, she's always trying to check and see if he still really loved her. And it's like, and and of course he always said yes and everything. And it just drove me nuts how weak of a woman she was. And it makes me wonder if, and like, not just, like, this, it makes me wonder if this is wish fulfillment, because a couple years ago, I did read a book called The Paris Wife about Hemingway's first wife, and now, of course, that's fiction, so it's not a non-fiction book, it's an actual fictionalized version of the events, and I do know that Hemingway was a bit of a ladies' man, so it's like, I wonder if maybe this was wish fulfillment, like he desired a woman that was so perfect and did whatever he sang, was all about what he wanted, and was like, oh, whatever you want will make me happy, and it's like, no woman is like that. We're complicated messes, we're nagging, we're annoying, we're stubborn, we're argumentative. When we say we're fine, we don't really mean fine, or when we say whatever, it doesn't really mean whatever you want. It's like we are just being passive aggressive. And it just, this woman just annoyed the crap out of me. And then the other thing that really annoyed me is every time she said the word darling, it was like there was no other endearment. It was always darling this, darling that, whatever you want, darling, whatever you say, darling, okay, darling, I love you, darling, do you really love me, darling? And every time it drove me crazy. You know, I'm not big on those kind of endearments. Like, if I ever fall in love and get married and stuff, I don't want my husband to use endearments too long. It feels too, like, old-fashioned, and it feels a little sappy and sentimental, and it makes me cringe. But this was worse because it was every scene, every part of the book that was centered on their story, their aspect of the story. She always used the word darling, and then she constantly used the word splendid. And I think he used the word splendid too. That was the other word that was, in grand. Grand was another word that was used on repeat. And she kept saying splendid. It was like every time. I mean, the thing is, this was a library book, so I couldn't really. I mean, I guess I could have marked it in pencil and then just erased it. But even then, that's a little risky. So, but if it wasn't a library book, which thankfully it was a library book because I did not like it I didn't like it as much as some people did. I would have marked how many times the word splendid or darling was used. And I was also mostly in this particular chair, so I didn't really, although I did have a surface to write on, but I don't like taking notes this is why I can't really do the whole defacing in books or putting notes in the pages in the margins of books, because I don't like stopping and making sure to write a little note or something, I mean, I think that's probably why people do it after they've already read the book a couple times. And then they start going through the book and like, the most I'll do is, like, every so often maybe will write a note, but a lot of times I highlight and underline. But in this case, I could not do it because it was a library book. It wasn't my property. So, but I would love to mark how many times words like grand and splendid and darling weren't used throughout the book, especially in the parts with them. But I just remember there was another thing about one of the lines that she says, because Frederick, or Henry, whatever his first name is, he is in danger of getting arrested at one point in the book. And like she says, I mean, and they are on the run, they're trying to escape, and they decide to stop somewhere to get some breakfast. And she's like, once you've had breakfast, you'll be feeling a lot better about getting arrested. It's like, I mean, yeah, I know, trust me, I know how Hunger Pains feels, because, I have a job where I try to get in as much work as I can. And then sometimes my stomach starts growling before I decide to take my 15-minute break. So I get it, the hunger pains and everything, and she's saying, oh, you'll feel more comfortable as you get food in your stomach. You'll feel a lot better. But it's like, he's being arrested, and that shouldn't be a priority. You trying to not be arrested should be your top priority, not, oh, let's get some breakfast. Like, I mean, I know that they've been traveling all night and they're probably starving, but I think once but when you're on the run and the cops are trying to come after you and arrest you, it's like, why? The last thing on your mind is going to be food. You want to get away first before you eat anything. But anyway, I did not like her character, and I did not like the romance. It was not romantic at all. It didn't feel romantic. None of their dialogue felt romantic at all. It felt very awkward and cute, and cutesy, but not in a good way. It felt like a sitcom. That was my biggest problem. Like I said, the writing, I just didn't get along with it. Now, I'm going to read some of his other books, whichever ones I can get a hold of, because I do believe there was another novel of his that I saw at the library, and then I saw The Old Man by the Sea was also there. I didn't get it, But I also saw, and then I know that my brother-in-law has The Sun Also Rises, but I'm trying to avoid borrowing books from him, because I still have, John Adams by David McCullough, and unfortunately, because that's nonfiction and the writing is a bit dry in my opinion, I don't know when I'll ever get back to it, but I do need to get back to it. And I also have my sister's copy of The Kitchen God's Wife by Amy Tan that I need to get back. So I want to try to avoid borrowing another book from them, but I mean, and it's not like I can read it within the weekend because I'm bringing my other books with me. I'm bringing the other books that I brought with me. But anyway, so I'm gonna give him another chance and read some of his other books. Maybe it's just this particular book that I didn't get along with. But yeah, it's like, I can understand the appeal of him, and I'm sure his descriptions and how he describes setting is very beautiful and nice, but I just didn't get along with his writing. I definitely prefer Steinbeck over him, at least when it comes to those books. At least when it came to the book I read by Hemingway. So I guess I can't fairly make that assessment that I prefer Steinbeck, but so far I prefer Steinbeck. But even then, I haven't read enough Steinbeck, really. Or at least I haven't finished Steinbeck. And I love Fitzgerald, too. He's another author from that group of authors that I really like. What else do I have to say about... I don't know what else I have to say about the book. I didn't like it. The plot was okay, and maybe I would have liked it better if Charlotte's character was written a little differently. But that's just my opinion, and you guys might like and have no problem with her character, like I did. I don't know what else. I guess I don't really have anything else to say about the book. Like I said, the writing was, okay. I just didn't get along with it. The character, some of the conversations between some of Frederick Henry's friends, I was a little confused with how they talk to each other. And some of the little, like his friend Rinaldi, I think that's how you say it. He's Italian. Okay, well, I forgot to mention in the summary that he was in Italy. He's an American in Italy. So Rinaldi is one of his friends, his roommate, and he kept calling, the way he spoke to him was kind of like he was making the joke that Henry was his boyfriend, or like, the way he said baby, he called him baby a lot, and all that kind of, he was pretend flirting with him or something. I don't know, maybe, that I didn't get, but then maybe that's just guys being guys, and maybe that's how they spoke back then. I don't know. But it was just a little confusing at times, some of the conversations. But, like, other than that, and I get and I'm sure I would get all the literary stuff about the book if I discussed it in, like, academically speaking. But I was looking at it as I was reading it for enjoyment. And it was recommended to me, which I feel bad that I don't like it, because it was my aunt who recommended it to me. And she's talking about how it was a romance, and how much she likes the romance and everything, but I personally didn't like it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on A Farewell to Arms. And again, I'm sorry if this is a book that you guys like, and yes, I'm gonna apologize. I know a lot of people don't like it when you apologize, but I'm always so worried, because I am a smaller channel, and I don't want you guys to leave, I don't want you guys to ever get bored with me, or have it, or not like me, as a review, or stop liking me as a reviewer and as a booktuber. I know I'm still kind of trying to get my feet off the ground and figure out how to be more creative with my channel, but it's very hard because there's some things that are just a little more difficult for me to do, that are the things that people do to make their videos more fun and exciting. But I really hope you guys, are still liking my videos. And if you liked it, please be sure to give a thumbs up and click subscribe if you happen to be one of those people who's just watching me for the first time and you like me. Again, and I hope you all are still enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.